Hi there. So I actually decided to make a second part to the first video I've made today, and it's a bit of a follow-up story. I actually did not include an example in my video as like a sort of an ad hoc to to the point I was trying to make. So I want to tell a little story of a perfect example of what I meant in the last video I made about why if you've become a hater or if you've become embittered, you've already lost. So, about 5 years ago, I had this really hardcore. I had a friend who was a radical conservative. He was hardcore radical conservative. I'm not gonna give his name, obviously, in this video, but he was really, really, really hardcore conservative. And the thing is that this friend of mine at the time, I mean, we're not friends anymore, obviously, but he literally could not go 5 minutes without shutting up about conservative politics. I mean, this guy was radical. He just, anytime that he saw a liberal or ran to a liberal, he just had to go over there and just get in the person's face and just shred him up. To the point of most people's annoyance. And so me and my friends who hung out with this guy, eventually it got to the point where we couldn't stand him anymore. Not because a lot of my friends were liberal, but also because we just couldn't stand being around someone who was filled with so much hate, who was driven by so much hate and couldn't shut up about politics. Because the truth is that whether you're liberal, whether you're a radical liberal or radical conservative, being someone who's overly obsessive about politics or religion or any ideology gets old really fast. It's annoying. And the thing is that this guy ended up becoming such an issue that not just did he get cut off by all of his liberal friends, but he actually ended up getting ghosted by his conservative friends too. So the thing is that this was back in 2017, and so the funny thing is that the candidate that he wanted to win, the conservatives, were actually in power. And so you think that he would be really happy, but instead he was obviously happy that his party was in the White House, but all of that hatred and bitterness still resided in him. He couldn't go a day without talking about politics. He couldn't go a day without ranting about liberals or something, because the thing is that even though his party was in the White House at the time, it didn't stop all the liberal movements and stuff like that from having their rallies or having their protests and all that, and he just couldn't stand it. And so over the course of time, or over the course of the few months that I really got to know him, he started slowly losing all of his friends, and slowly missing out on opportunities in life and stuff like that, because he couldn't hold down a job because no one wanted to be around him. He couldn't keep any friends, or he couldn't live in an apartment because his roommates got sick of him. Basically his whole life, every aspect of his life just fell apart because he had poor character and he was obsessed with politics. And so this is what I mean by no matter what stance you have, the minute you've become embittered and hate driven, you've already lost. Because that hatred and bitterness will literally destroy every aspect of your life. And this old friend of mine that I had in 2017 is a perfect illustration of that. This couldn't be a more perfect anecdote, because, like I said in my other video, my boss told me no matter which party ends up in the White House, if you've become embittered, you've already lost. And in this example, you have a guy whose party won the 2016 election, who was dominant, but he was so hate driven that literally his entire personal life fell apart. So it didn't really matter if his party was in the White House. His personal life turned into garbage because he was so hate driven. And so that's just that was just a follow-up story. I forgot to put a story as an example in that video, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Thank you. I'll be making a second video here in a moment. But anyways, thank you for tuning in.